Well, if it makes you feel better, and I don't know if this is going to make you feel better, but if it makes you feel better, you could be the Atlanta Falcons. Does that help? I don't know. But you could be the Atlanta Falcons. And you're not, so at least your night could have been worse. Welcome into Rebel Report Live. My name is Michael Borky. Appreciate you guys being here. I know it's a little late on this Thursday night, but wanted to wait until after Ole Miss baseball finished game one of their series with Alabama. And sure enough, they got embarrassed yet again. So that's going to be the lead topic is them getting embarrassed, but more specifically, Austin Simmons' injury, because quite frankly, at this point, Ole Miss getting embarrassed in the opener of a series is expected with how they've gone so far this year. Just chalk it up to another embarrassing loss. They were run ruled again. It's the third time on their home field. It's the fifth time. Wait, excuse me. That's the second time on their home field. Sorry, undersold a little bit. The fifth time, or oversold it a little bit. The fifth time in conference play, they have been run ruled this season. That was my bad. I did that one. I'm not having issues. I'm watching the draft and I'm fidgety. That's on me. And look, it's not even working now. Oh, what a joke. This stream is a joke, just like Ole Miss baseball is. I'll get this back up and running, and then we'll go from there. Or maybe I won't. Maybe this is just going to be the night. All right. Sorry about that. That was my fault. I'm sitting here playing with the cords, and I caused that, of course. I do it all the time. It's what happens. I need a better studio setup, but we'll get to that on a later date. Hopefully before football season. I've actually got some things in the works there. So anyway, that's not necessarily the story tonight, is Ole Miss baseball getting embarrassed, because it's what happens to them this season, quite frankly. It's the Simmons injury. Austin Simmons left the game, as you guys know, was clearly favoring in the dugout the throwing arm. Now, it doesn't mean that it's some kind of permanent thing. I don't know at this point, nor does anybody else really, what the prognosis is, but it did not look good, and favoring that arm in the dugout is not good. That is kind of the story of the night. And so we're going to talk about that. Also, A.J. Brown, by the way, again, if you're looking for some positive news, A.J. Brown, the highest paid receiver in the history of the NFL, got a huge, huge contract today. Let me give you the exact numbers on that. He's earned every dollar. He's the best wide receiver in the league. 3-year extension, $96 million. He's under contract through 2029 and has $84 million guaranteed. So it's the largest per year dollar amount for a wide receiver in the history of the NFL. He has earned every dollar of that. He's the best. Well, is he the best in the NFL? I think he's the best in the NFL. Some people will disagree with that, but I think that he is that dominant. So there's your positive news for the night. So we'll talk about it after I ask you. Please follow me, social media, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. And usually the start of these things are not the technical disaster like what you saw here, but again, it's kind of fitting for what we're talking about. Appreciate you being here. Subscribe to this podcast if you have not already. If you're listening on the website or watching on YouTube and you have not subscribed, please do so. Pull out your favorite podcast app, search Rebel Report, and subscribe and leave a rating and a review. So the conversation about the baseball team at this point is a broken record. It's just a broken record. I'm just going to keep repeating myself, so I'm not going to waste too much time on it. Get off to bad starts. When they get punched in the mouth, they fold. Emotionally, it looks like they've checked out. They don't have enough pitching to overcome bad starts. They don't hit it well enough to overcome bad starts. They are the worst defensive baseball team I've ever seen. Check, 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 and check. They get embarrassed on their home field yet again. There are going to be conversations, and I know you guys are going to want to talk about the long-term ramifications of the program. I will wait to your comments before we get to that, because I do want to talk about the Austin Simmons injury. Um, First of all, this is the risk you take when you have a quarterback also playing baseball. Now, luckily for Ole Miss, he's not the starting quarterback in 2024. It'd be different if it was Jackson Dart on the mound tonight. However, this is the risk you take. Mike Bianco and Lane Kiffin have both spoken publicly about how they don't want, like, there's no restrictions. They agreed that there won't be any restrictions. I know that people are looking back on what happened in Athens where he threw twice in the same day. It wasn't a high volume of pitches, but getting warm, cooling off, or getting warm, throwing, cooling off, getting warm, throwing, cooling off can be pretty taxing on an arm, generally speaking. But this is so common, so common in baseball now that it's almost expected. That's how common arm injuries are. But this is the risk that you run allowing a quarterback to play baseball. Now, again, this injury could be nothing. He could be good to go and all that. It didn't look like that was the case. But just for the sake of conversation, if it is what it could be, what it might have looked like, if it's some kind of forearm injury, elbow injury that sidelines him for a while, this is the risk you take, letting a quarterback play baseball. But this also shows you why there was some angst about the two-sport thing. This shows you why. It's not good. I know that's like a very elementary thing to say. You guys come here, I hope, looking for some thoughtful commentary, and that's not very thoughtful. But this, it could be really bad. For what it's worth, I was told that Lane Kiffin was there at least for a period of time, either before he was just there at the game and the injury happened, or after the injury was on site. For what it's worth, he was there. But what the problem that this could create now, let's pretend for a second like he would be QB2. Let's pretend like that is the case, that if Jackson Dart were to go down, knock on wood, you hope it doesn't happen, it would have been Austin Simmons. This could be costly in football. And if it is, if, big ifs, if it is something that requires time off, if it possibly requires surgery, who knows if you come back the same. I know these kind of injuries, guys are coming back better than ever, but I mean, the recovery time on these things are over a year now. This is somebody that's supposed to be competing for the starting quarterback job at Ole Miss this time next year, going through spring, preparing to be the starting quarterback at Ole Miss starting in early March of next year. If you're sidelined for 12 months with an arm injury, that complicates that a whole heck of a lot. And so, again, I know you're looking for thoughtful commentary. The injury, the game just happened. I haven't had a time to like sit down and write out some more concrete thoughts, but it's more than just their best relief pitcher, who was a freshman that's supposed to be in high school, got hurt tonight. It's the guy that is supposed to be competing for the starting quarterback job next season got hurt tonight, or the guy that could be playing meaningful snaps this year, because you know how Jackson Dart plays the game. He's a physical football player. He's a quarterback that's not afraid of contact. He gets hurt. He got hurt last year. He played hurt. He gets hurt. It could have a direct impact on the football team this season. The football team that is worth millions of dollars, that fans have completely and totally bought in on, making sure that they could get every player they need to make a run at a championship. Ole Miss football 2024 believes that they can make a run at a championship. I know it's not the starting quarterback, but it is somebody that they could have possibly needed. And if this is what it looked like, it could impact football. And that makes the baseball football thing extremely complicated. It's going, and I've seen it both in text messages and reaction online. People are furious that this happened. But again, what I said at the beginning, this is the risk you take. This was always a possibility. Any kind of injury, whether it's significant or not at all, was always part of the equation. This was always possible. But the fact that it happened on a night when the team gets absolutely embarrassed in a season where they're not good enough, they're non-competitive, they are working towards not making the postseason again, really will create a lot more angst because not only is the team underperforming, now you're possibly dealing with an injured football player at the most important position on the field who was going to compete for the starting job next year. Ooh, that is a heavy, heavy night. So of course you hope that it is nothing. You hope that Austin Simmons is okay, um, for a lot of reasons. Because he's a great player. He's a young guy. You hate when young guys get hurt, but also because of what will happen, or not what will happen as a result, but what this could become if it's serious. So all of the above. It's just all bad. All of the above. So we'll get to your comments now after I tell you the podcast is brought to you by Advantage Business Systems. Check them out online, absms.com. Advantage Business Systems has you covered for all of your Mississippi office technology needs. All of your office technology needs, Advantage Business Systems. Tell them I sent you. Get a complimentary office technology assessment. So you tell them what you need and what your budget is, and they will find a solution for you on me. That's Advantage Business Systems, absms.com. The podcast is also brought to you by Priority One Bank. Let them make you their priority. They've got 16 locations scattered across the state of Mississippi, so there's very likely to be one in your backyard. Bank with me at Priority One Bank. They make me their priority. They got an online banking platform that is just outstanding. It's a one-stop shop. You don't need multiple apps to do everything you want to do with your money because Priority One Bank makes you their priority. The draft is going on right now. I don't think really we're going to talk much draft tonight. We'll probably do that on Sunday, although, again, the Falcons kind of embarrassed themselves tonight. The Saints went really boring. Everybody's reaching on quarterbacks, on and on and on. So let's get to your comments right now. Nothing ever good happens for Ole Miss when the numbers 4 and 25 are involved. Crying emoji? Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. That fourth inning was one of the most hilariously bad things you've ever seen from any baseball team, let alone Ole Miss. Again, that Q word, we talked about it during the Kentucky series. This looks like an extremely mentally fragile team, as it turns out. And back during the South Carolina series, I mean, even that game 2 in Knoxville, that took some intestinal fortitude for them to do what they did in those spots. They've completely fallen apart. I don't know if it's lack of internal leadership. I don't know if it's coaching. I don't know why. But broken record. They do basic things poorly. They are the worst defensive baseball team I've ever seen at this level. Horrible. But most importantly, it looks like they are mentally checked out. That's what it looks like. Now, that may not be the case, but it looks like they are completely and totally mentally checked out. And it's not even May yet. It's not even May. And by the way, I know Thursday crowds, when they do the Thursday-Saturday series, are typically a little bit lighter than Friday and Saturday. But that was noticeably bad tonight. And I'm not fan blaming. I don't do that. You guys know that. I think that the only message that you can send as fans is through your presence in the stadium. If you don't like the product on the field, the only way that you can show it is by not showing up. Fans didn't show up tonight. Swayze was empty. It was empty. Fans are checking out. The team is checked out. And so I don't blame the fans for checking out if that's the kind of garbage product you're going to get. You saw a joke after the Simmons injury that Bianco had his eyes set on ruining the football team too. Oh, man. It's officially time. Bianco needs to walk away. Rebuilding begins now. Another one. I don't know how much draft we want to talk, but 6 quarterbacks in the first 12 picks is insane. McCarthy and Bo Nix make me shake my head, and Penix going as high as he did was also shocking. Yeah, the problem with the Falcons, it's not picking Michael Penix where they picked him. That's not the problem. It's giving Kirk Cousins a 4-year, $180 million contract, and then a few weeks later, drafting Penix at 8. Makes it so remarkably stupid. They could have gotten Brock Bowers they could have gone so many directions. After giving Kirk Cousins a $100 million guaranteed, $180 million contract, you go and draft a quarterback. Michael Penix will be 28 years old. 28 years old when Kirk Cousins' contract runs out with the Falcons. Just a remarkably stupid pick, considering what they did with Cousins. If they didn't do that with Cousins, it'd be a great pick. It'd be fine with it. Makes no sense at all. But that's why they're the Falcons. The Falcons make me feel better about my entire life tonight. They should. Said before the draft, someone would take Penix as a backup guy behind an old vet, and it ended up being Atlanta. But that's the thing. It's not an old vet with an expiring contract. You just gave him that contract. Was sitting next to a guy at the game who's a big Falcons fan, and he was in disbelief. I feel bad for that guy. I shouldn't, but I feel bad for that guy. As I was walking out of Swayze during the fourth, I caught a foul ball clean with two hands. I had fewer fielding errors in the fourth inning than the Rebels did. I'm glad you made the choice to leave when you did, frankly. You shouldn't have subjected yourself to 7 innings of that. Good grief, I'm embarrassed to say even I watched that train wreck of a game. At least 5 is making it easy for Keith to do what's going to have to be done. There is no greater motivator than embarrassing losses. At least I don't think there is. Maybe somebody trying to steal your coach. Maybe that's a greater motivator. But I don't think boosters are more motivated by anything other than embarrassing losses. And when the season began, we talked about it. I didn't foresee a scenario in which a change is made. It just there's too much money on the contract. Not even 2 full years removed from winning a national championship. Considering what they're investing in football and basketball, Chris Beard's new contract and everything they're giving to Lane Kiffin, it makes this conversation still a little bit more difficult to have. But they're not losing. It'd be different if they were just losing. They're getting embarrassed. They're doing everything poorly. They're not playing decent baseball and just losing because a couple of arms got hurt. No, they're playing pathetic baseball. They're getting dominated. Been run ruled 5 times. Non-competitive at home. Kicking the ball around on the infield. Can't do basic routine baseball plays. Can't throw the ball over to first. Can't receive the ball at first. Can't throw anybody out behind the plate. Can't receive the ball behind the plate. Can't do anything well. And it's focus. It's not talent. What they do poorly is not talent. I'm sorry. High school teams do what Ole Miss can't do well. There are some misevaluations. There is some lacking depth on the mound, but they get embarrassed. They don't lose. They get embarrassed. And I think that needs to change the conversation, and that does need to change the way Keith Carter talks to boosters and stuff about the baseball program. It's really hard to consider making a change when they're investing what they're investing in the other 2 sports. It really is. But baseball is not a money loser at Ole Miss. In fact, it's a tiny bit of a money maker. It's very important to the fabric of Ole Miss fans and Ole Miss athletics. Baseball is extremely important. And they are an embarrassing team. What's the record for an SEC team getting run ruled in a season since they added the rule? I don't know, but I would assume it's 5. How many times did State get run ruled last year? That has to be the only comparison. I don't remember that number. I will look that up, though. You blame Bianco for my camera issues? Game 1s are especially bad. Why do you think that is? They play their worst baseball in the first game of a series. Why is that? I can't wrap my mind around it. Are other teams better prepared to play than they are? Are they more focused? Why is that? I would love to know. But there's not many things it can be. Preparedness, focus, whatever it is. It's something. Appreciate the super chat. Glad that you're here, man, and really, really appreciate you. Thank you for that. Hope Bianco will just leave gracefully at this point. I don't want him fired, but we can start a rebuild next year instead of the following year. And now you're starting to see, I'm curious to see what the crowd's like tomorrow and Saturday. It's double decker, so probably going to be good, but it's kind of a double-edged sword, right? If you're up there, why would you spend 3 hours at the ballpark to watch an embarrassing product when you can be on the square drinking and having fun with people? Because baseball's not fun right now. I mean, again, maybe it's going to be a great crowd because people are just going to be around. But if I had the option, double decker or the baseball, I can tell you what I'm doing, and it's not going to baseball. They have given you no reason to be there. If they're not going to show up, you shouldn't either. So maybe they get lucky there, but there's no way Keith Carter did not see what everybody saw tonight, which was nobody was there. That was different than your typical Thursday crowd. There were fewer people there. Absolutely, there were. Subscribe. It's free. Yes, it is. It is free. Yeah, the PTG Outdoors T-shirts have been sent out. So glad to see it. Some of you jumped on that opportunity. Not enough of you, but that's okay. Saved Brandon some money. And I'm looking forward to getting mine. I can't wait to rock it right here on this stream. PTG Outdoors. Check them out. I am excited to spend some time on a boat provided by PTG Outdoors as punishment for losing the Sports Talk Mississippi Bracket Challenge. And that's gonna suck. I'm gonna try to have fun with it, but that's gonna suck, and that's okay. But it'll be an awesome boat because it'll be provided by the good people at PTG Outdoors. Pitching 6 days after pitching twice in the same day with all caps and exclamation points. Yeah, if it's a serious injury, I'm pissed if I'm Lane Kiffin. But here's the thing, though. He encouraged it, at least publicly. Now, I don't know what was said privately, and maybe baseball was the only way that he could have gotten Simmons, and so he kind of had to encourage it. Maybe so. But they invited this. I'm not blaming them. I'm not blaming anybody, but they did invite this. This was invited. This is just part of the deal. This is the risk you take. But I agree with you, though. If I'm Lane Kiffin, I'm furious. Furious. Because what happens if Jackson Dart turns an ankle and can't go for 3 quarters? Was Simmons your best option? If so, yeah. I mean, you guys know the rest. Chase just wrote, quote, Ole Miss pitcher and quarterback Austin Simmons felt something in his elbow. He'll get an MRI soon. He left the game in the 4th inning. That does not sound good. Hopefully it's good because that does not sound that doesn't sound good. And if Chase wrote it, take it to the bank. I mean, Chase covering Ole Miss baseball, you don't have a better person covering a specific team in college baseball out there than Chase. So I'm a fan of his, I guess is what I'm saying. I like him a lot. Never actually hung out with him personally. I just like his work a lot. He probably didn't want to hang out with me. Not many people do. I'm kidding. Walker Howard better stay warm. Better stay healthy. Frankly, they're lucky Dart is as tough as he is because most other quarterbacks would be knocked out of games with some of the hits he's taken sans the Georgia game, which was over. No doubt. No doubt. Chase was quoting Bianco, too, in that one. Wow. Okay, so there you go. Losing Simmons to an injury in a baseball season like that is going like this really hurts. Yes, it does. The only silver lining with Simmons being hurt is that Walker Howard has loads of potential. Simmons being that young means plenty of recovery time if needed. That is true. I mean, too many people have forgotten about Walker Howard. But my concern is, if it's as bad as it could be, that will impact the quarterback competition going into next season. And if Simmons was going to be the better option, this hurts football. And I know Ole Miss people love baseball. I know they do. But if anything hurts football, it's bad. And it shouldn't happen. If anything hurts football, that's the conversation. That's what this becomes now. It's not fair. Austin Simmons play baseball. It's a really cool story. I didn't think he had to make a choice yet. After this season, though, a choice would have had to have been made. Now, I hate speculating, but I'm doing it because what else are we going to talk about? I fear that it's the worst, and if it is the worst, it will impact next football season. Chase has also said Bianco is, quote, not safe, and stuff like tonight shows that. You shouldn't be. Again, it'd be different if they were just losing. They're getting embarrassed. That changes things. That changes things. I was at the game and left in the fourth to go watch the draft and this stream. Appreciate you being here. And the draft is giving you lots of stuff as well. Although I can't like follow the picks as I'm talking to you guys, so I'm going to have a lot of catching up to do when we hang up here. But I'm proud of the Saints. I am very proud of the Saints. They did the boring thing. They did the right thing. And I'm very, very happy that they did the boring and correct thing. And it was drafting the best available offensive tackle. The highest grading run blocking tackle in college football. And with the new offensive scheme, they're going to run the ball a lot. That outside zone. So he should have a chance to walk out on his own terms. That's how it would go. It would go differently because of the decades, 2 decades into the program and the championship and all that. But if this keeps up, the conversation changes than the one we were having back in February. Biggest cheer from the crowd tonight was for TJ McCants. I was glad to see that. I thought that was the right thing to do. That was good on you guys that were there that did that. I think he earned that. He deserved that. This was not your typical portal breakup. It was, and you guys know the story by now because the aforementioned Chase did an excellent job reporting on it and writing about it. And I'm glad he did that so people could understand that this wasn't a guy thinking the grass was greener at all. It just, he was dealt a pretty terrible hand, an unfathomable hand, and he's over. He's getting through it clearly, playing good baseball. And he was an integral part of the championship team. I was really glad to see that. I didn't expect anything different, by the way. But I was glad to see the expected happen. The fear of firing a legendary coach is that the next guy will perform worse than him. Is that a fear Ole Miss should have? My follow-up question to that would be, I'm going to answer your question with a question. How much worse could it get? How much worse could it get than last year? How much worse could it get than getting run ruled 5 times? How much worse could it get than what you saw tonight? How much worse? It's a risk you're willing to take. You're the highest paying job in college baseball. The next guy probably won't get Bianco's salary. You're a top 5 paying job in college baseball. You've got real NIL money tied up in baseball. You've got real fan support, real facilities. It's a coveted job. It's absolutely a coveted job. You make 8,500 baseball uniforms in a 3-week span each spring. Guarantee you could find some kids that have better fundamentals in the field than what this team has shown. I don't doubt it. There's a little hyperbole in that, but at the same time, is there? So in my professional opinion, is it over with Bianco? It depends on what you mean. Like, what are you asking? Has the institution decided to move on? I do not believe that is the case as of this moment. Do I think that it is going to a place that is irrecoverable? Yes, I think that is the direction that it's in. I'm extremely appreciative of Mike and everything that he has done, but man, we are way too good of a program to perform like this. Absolutely. My opinion is starting to shift on Bianco staying another year with the talk we've heard behind the scenes and the team being this bad. Yeah, because you've been kind of aligned with me on that a change isn't coming. But if it keeps looking like this, people will not put up with it. They've been outscored 64-19 in series openers. Wow, what a stat. At least LSU is losing more competitively, even though Auburn is terrible. They don't get run ruled. Exactly. LSU's bad. Auburn's bad. They're not embarrassing. And what's the difference at the end of the day? W's and L's are all that matters, but Auburn's just having tough breaks, right? They're better than their record indicates when you watch them play. They lose close games. They don't get embarrassed. What do I think about the 850K talk with Padula committing to Ole Miss? That seems high, but it's coming from like the most connected person in college basketball who happens to also be anonymous. It's amazing. But if it's true, good on Ole Miss and good on the collective. Do you want to win or not? If that's what it takes to win, damn it, go win. It seems crazy, and it is crazy because there's like one college basketball player that's actually worth $850,000 in a year. But if that's what it took, good. Go win. Winning is fun. Does Bianca walk away or does Carter have to fire him? Even the 22 season, they were bad. Lucky to get into the tournament, remember, the last team in. Leger sounded like he has quit in the postgame. So I have not read or seen the postgame stuff yet. That we'll be able to talk about more on Sunday. In an age where NIL is everything, how do you spend another year to the fan base? That's the thing. You don't. You don't. You can't. Because the fan base paid pretty high dollar for a lot of guys on this team. More than what most of the fan base is making. A lot more than what most of the fan base is making. And that's the product that they're putting out there. You're not going to be able to sell another $1.5 million, $2 million, whatever the number is for next year's baseball team. No way you're getting that. I mean, if you were asking me for money, I can tell you what my answer would be. No, I'm going to give it to Chris Beard. I'm going to give it to Lane Kiffin. Nah. Mm-mm. I saw what my money went to last year in baseball. Not happening again. That would be my answer. Maybe other people think differently. I'm just an opinion guy. That's all I am. So maybe the fans would rally around it and do it again, but I doubt it. If his injury is bad, do they get another quarterback in the portal? Not this go around, no. Does this hurt Simmons in the competition for QB1 next spring? If it is a UCL tear, then yes, it does impact him. Yes. Possibly even next fall, too. It's a long recovery from those things. Local to Oxford orthosurgeon, quote, fear of a UCL injury. However, newer techniques could get him back on the field in time for football season. Okay. But would that be, like, my follow-up question to him would be, would that be the thing that leads to the best recovery long-term? Or is that just you can get him available to play, but is that the best reparation for the hypothetical injury? Because if that answer is no, then you don't do it. This injury, regardless of severity, should have Kiffin tell Simmons to hang up the glove. Wouldn't be surprised if that's a conversation. Would not be surprised if he's already had that conversation. Again, like I said, he was in the stadium. I wouldn't be surprised. You wanted the Titans to draft Joe Alt, but Harbaugh made sure that wasn't going to happen. The Titans made a good pick anyway, though. That was a good pick. It's boring, but it was a good pick. Baseball team plays about as well as their garbage new Fanatics uniforms. No kidding. What a joke that company is. It was very classy of TJ to tip his hat to the crowd. Absolutely. He's a classy kid. I say he's a kid. He's a man now. He's a classy dude all around. Worked his tail off, put his head down and battled through stuff. I'm glad all of that happened. I really am. How much of the outrage is because of the injury instead of the product? It's a combination of the two. It's absolutely both. You're not going this weekend because of the baseball team going to a 20-year high school reunion instead. That's how much I'm out on this season. If you don't want to go to the reunion, skip the reunion, go see Kingfish on Saturday. Dude's unbelievable. In his early 20s. He's been playing the blues since he was toddler, basically. But he's keeping the Mississippi Blues alive. I mean, he's unbelievable. So if you don't feel like going to the reunion, go check him out. He's special. The injury is just a cherry on top of a shit Sunday. Yeah, that's about right. Yeah, this is a good point though. If Simmons doesn't get hurt, it's just more of an apathy instead of outrage. Yeah. See, because of the injury, you've now turned into there's an anger point for sure. It has added a layer to um, the embarrassment of this season. Absolutely, it has. So, and also, I mean, you know what? Never mind. You'd say it's closer to 3.5 million for the roster, but who knows? You gave exclusively to the Grove Collective last time to basketball when Beard was signed. Didn't want my money wasted on baseball, and I promise you're not alone. If I were Keith Carter, would I tell Bianco to hang it up? Um, I mean, I would try, I guess, if that's the decision I wanted to make. But would you walk away from $4 million? Over $4 million? Would you just leave that on the table and walk away for free? I wouldn't. There would have to be some kind of negotiated buyout for an amicable split. If a miracle happens and it's just a strain, does Keith tell Bianco to shelf Simmons? I don't think Keith would tell him. I think that would just happen. Wonder what the temperature of the locker room looks like tonight. That's a good question. Although it seems like the temperature might be one of a collection of guys that don't really care because that's how they play. That's how they play. Where's that at? It's at Double Decker. Kingfish he's not the headliner. He should be the headliner in my opinion, but he's right before the headliner at Double Decker on the big stage. TJ had a good time with the students, from what you could tell through some through a question ball back and forth with him. That's awesome. That is absolutely awesome. Kingfish played at the White House at age 15. He's amazing. Yeah, man. And I love this story. I was reading about him where he said in grade school when like all of his buddies in Clarksdale, is where he's from Clarksdale, by the way, were like learning how to rap and stuff like that. They were like, why, like blues is dead music. Like, why do you want to play blues? And his response is, without the blues, y'all don't have music. Whatever you guys learn how to do doesn't exist without what I'm doing. And he's right. And what he continues to play is, it's a modern version of it, right? It's not, but I mean, you find some videos where he's playing real classic Mississippi blues, but the music that he's playing is why Led Zeppelin exists, greatest rock band of all time. Why Rolling Stones exist, maybe the number 2 greatest rock band of all time. At that age, keeping the blues alive and not only playing it, but playing it as well as he does. He's y'all are in for a treat if you're going to Double Decker tomorrow or Saturday. Dallas Turner's a Viking. It's a good pick for Minnesota. That's a really good pick for Minnesota. These guys got a big check. All they need to do is go through the motions, and they're fine. Here's the thing, though, Edward. The football team doesn't do that. Jackson Dart was getting paid pretty handsomely last year. He literally put his life on the line for Ole Miss last year. Let's get a fat check. Big old check. Look at what he did. See what I mean? If they're just collecting their checks and going through the motions, that is a character issue. Because I watch pro athletes lollygag. It happens, especially baseball players. But I watch pro football and basketball players put it down every night. I watch Herb Jones just got a big fat new contract. You guys might not know who that is. Doesn't matter. One of the best defenders in the NBA. And I watch him defend like his life depends on it on a nightly basis. And he got a big old contract for a guy that doesn't score points. $40 million, something like that. He puts it down every night. So if that's really what's going on here, that's what it looks like. That's certainly what it looks like. It's your anniversary weekend. Shout out your wife, Mrs. PTG. Congratulations. I don't know how you put up with this guy, but congrats to the two of you. That sounds awesome that you might spend your weekend getting serenaded by the sweet licks of Kingfish Ingram. So that sounded really gross, but I'm talking about the guitar, obviously. That sounded really bad. Laugh. It's fine. Oh, man. It's late. Okay, forgive me. Why should they care about the season? They're either leaving after this year or their coach ripping their ass is likely gone. True. AJ's new contract is pretty good for a second-round pick. Still can't believe how many teams passed on him and DK. Unbelievable. But goes to show that you don't have to be a first-rounder to be the best player in the league, huh? Thing is, football has understood and built a culture that transfers have bought into along with winning. I don't think baseball has understood it. We'll see on basketball, but it looks promising. Character issues stem from the coach. You endorse what you allow, right? If you're allowing something to happen, that means you're endorsing it, right? It's a very delicate matter. But that point has arrived. We've been able to talk around it up until this point, but it has arrived now. They're not going to make the postseason. They're getting embarrassed doing it. Fan base is checking out, clearly evidenced by tonight. A pretty high-profile, anger-inducing injury. The tone of the conversation has shifted. So, anyway. All right, guys, I got to run. Thank you so much. It's very late. I'm actually going to go read about the Saints pick and then go to bed. So, thank you guys. As always, I know the subject matter tonight really just sucked, but got to talk about it. It is what it is. We'll be back on Sunday. We'll talk draft. Ole Miss players are going to get picked at some point this weekend, so we'll recap those. We'll talk about whatever the heck happens in baseball over the next 2 days. Enjoy your weekend, or at least try to. I'll see you guys on Sunday night. 7:30 Sunday night. 7:30 Sunday night. We'll see you then.